Hey everybody, this is John Paul Guidry with Guidry Golf and Sport. I just finished a nice little upper body pulling workout with some arm work and a little bit of sprint work on the bike to finish up. Thanks to my coach, Eric Bach of Bach Performance. Even as a coach, I need a coach myself to keep me on track. I wanted to talk a little bit about recovery. Most of us have heard somewhat about recovery as it relates to fitness, performance, that type of thing. To me, it's as important, if not more important, than our training itself. And I kind of look at recovery as a few different things. Obviously, sleep tends to be the most obvious one. We'll talk a little bit about that. Nutrition being part of that. Load management. So especially if you're an athlete, that means managing not only your time in the gym, your practice and competition time, and being able to recover from all three. And on top of that, mental health, stress management, that type of thing as well. So let's talk a little bit about sleep first. This is the thing I tend to struggle with the most. Everybody knows we need our good 7-8 hours of sleep. And the more harder we push our bodies, the more important that becomes. Some thoughts on sleep are, making sure you have good sleep hygiene. So some techniques or some things you can use with that are setting consistent wake and sleep time. So not only having an alarm to wake up, but have you something set, a time to go to bed. So you kind of start to shut off and get ready to go to sleep. Limiting screen time, TVs, computers, phones, at least an hour before bed. Limiting caffeine intake after noon, 1, 2 o'clock. I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine, so I generally don't drink anything after 10 or 11. Other things are limiting alcohol intake in the evenings, keeping your room dark and cool. So about 67, 69 degrees is about what the research shows is a good temperature. Things like blackout curtains, covering up lights from electronics, that type of thing. These are all things you can put into practice right away to kind of improve your sleep hygiene and put you in a better place for sleep. Secondly is nutrition. So we won't go too deep into this, as I'll probably do another video on that itself, but just making sure you're getting enough proper macronutrients to fuel your body. For most people, that's making sure you get enough protein. Most clients I work with, that's the starting point, is making sure they're getting enough protein in daily, and then we fill out their calories with the carbs of fat around that. And so that's really kind of the biggest thing that I would take away today for nutrition. Load management. So again, if you're an athlete, you've got to balance your time in the gym, your time on practice field or range, and your time competing, and making sure you're recovering properly for each one. So as a golfer, a tournament golfer especially, if you're playing 2 to 4 rounds of tournament golf, that's making sure you're recovering before the next round, you're ready to go for the first round, and that you're fresh from the first hole to the last hole on the last round. Practice time on off weeks or even tournament weeks, making sure you're recovering from that, and then making sure your gym time is balanced. So in the off season, you can go harder, spend more time in the gym. In seasons, you still want to get the work in, but you may cut back on that because you're going to spend more time practicing and playing. Lastly is just kind of taking care of your mental health, stress management. So life is going to throw stuff at us, whether expectedly or unexpectedly, and it's not about not having stress. Stress is a part of life, and stress can be a good thing. It's how we manage that stress, especially that negative stress, is really what keeps us balanced. So, things like meditation, if need be, regularly seeing a mental health specialist, deep breathing techniques. There's a lot of techniques out there that, I won't go too deep into, but, you can research yourself, or, talk to somebody, a professional that can give you some of these techniques. I myself see a therapist or a counselor from time to time, just to kind of get myself back on track. Much like I use a coach to keep me on track in the gym, I kind of utilize that same way to keep me on track when I lose control of my mental health. So those are the 4 big things, in my opinion, when it comes to recovery. So take some time, to focus on those things and get those things where they need to be, as well as your training and as well as your practice for your sport. All right, again, this is John Paul Gidger, Gidger Golf and Sport. Everybody have a nice weekend.